Good day, everyone. Welcome to BunkaMania Wrestling. I am Jeremy Graves. I am joined by the Dekker Dane, Ian Bolton. We are here on Sunday, the 7th of May to talk about Backlash. It took place last night at the time we are recording this, and we figured rather than waiting a few more days as we're one to do to perhaps see what's going to happen on Raw and such, why not just talk about the show now? Because quite frankly, it was a fun show to watch. It was in Puerto Rico, which of course, the home country of Bad Bunny, which was a big element of the show itself. The crowd were extremely into the show, which really added to it overall and the overall flavor of what we were watching. And to sort of get a little bit of a discussion point underway, good sir, immediately, overall, this was a really easy, fun watch. And also only 3 hours as well, compared to some other shows we had.
Yeah, I mean, a nice, simple 3-hour show. It's a lot of all these matches are watchable. There's not a real sort of terrible match on the card. Some matches are more exciting than others. But generally, I think the best way to look at this is I think at times it is a very much glorified house show. But at times there are elements that have added to storylines, and we'll go through with the match card play-by-play where those sort of story beats have kind of changed, because this is the last premium live event before the draft becomes officially locked, and basically people need to stay on their brands unless you're certain champions or free agents. But no, I generally going in with not high expectations, more or less. I was definitely entertained this morning watching the show.
I agree. So, you know what? Let's sort of dive straight into it. We can go through things as we go along here, because there are definitely some things to talk about. One thing I do want to talk about, and admittedly, I did, after the fact, see that this also happened on SmackDown the night before, also in the same building. But I really liked the concept of that drone shot they did to open the show. That was just a really cool, unique way of doing that. And again, I found out after the fact they actually did it on SmackDown on Friday night. But that was just a really fun way to open the show. I'm trying to imagine how WWE might do that in the O2 Arena, because that'll be difficult, knowing how vaguely the layout of that is in London for Money in the Bank. But as a concept, I like that.
I mean, first and foremost, they need to fly. If they're going to the O2, they need to fly in through the security gate things as you enter the O2, and then they could just crazily go down the shopping aisles where you go past the Cineworld and all the food restaurants, and then double back and actually go into the entrance of the O2 that way. Unless they're. I mean, the fact is, there's no actual hole from the top of the O2 for the drone to drop through. So basically, yeah, I don't think we're going to see a drone shot at the O2, but we'll probably see it when we go back to Saudi Arabia with a Night of Champions. But no, the drone shots very, very nice. I mean, it depends how they operate. I mean, sometimes drone shots look amazing, and then sometimes you see them in films. I think they were used quite a lot in, say, The Grey Man for Netflix, going side tangent quickly to films, and at times they were good, and then times oh, this is just really agitating and annoying. But no, the drone shots throughout the show were really nice, really used well as well, and just kind of highlighted the scale and the scope of the show, and obviously how packed that stadium was, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, it really did add to the feeling. Also, you mentioned Netflix. I thought you were going to say brought to you by Fubar, which we may talk about later. But...
No.
So the show kicked off with the Raw Women's Championship match. It was, of course, Bianca Belair defending against Io Sky. A fun element to this match in particular, though this was kind of the only time really this happened on the event, was how much influence the crowd, in theory, had on the match. Because this crowd decided, Bianca, we really like you. You're a really great wrestler. We want Io to win. That's the way that sums that up with what the crowd thought. They played a really fun role in this. You could tell Io was trying so hard to hold back the smile on her face. It was really, really good fun. But this was a fun match, nice bit of back and forth, a good showcase for Io, even though the match was fairly short as well, should be said. But I think another interesting detail as well is they sort of tried to play up the idea of injuring Bianca's arm during this match, and that came into play when I think it was during a one-armed sort of military press spot when she held Io over her head, and she just kind of dropped her on her face, which I'm sure Io was delighted about.
Ow!
But ultimately, this came down to Io had control, but Bianca was starting to get back into things. Damage control. The remainder then came out down the aisle. Kind of tried to interfere without interfering, but interfering. It was kind of really weird how they did it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then ultimately that sort of played into a few bits and bobs that happened, leading to Bianca ultimately being able to hit the KOD for the win, which I think the crowd kind of knew the title wasn't going to change, but they just really wanted to see if they could be an influence in some way. And Io did not win the match, but this was a great showcase for her. And one wonders from a storyline perspective, given there's been a little bit of tension when it comes to Damage Control, if after the fact there may be a, why did you come down to the ring? Like, I was doing fine. I didn't need your help, Bayley. Your thoughts, good sir?
Yeah, I think this was a really fun opening match. Considering I think a lot of people knew the result was kind of never really in doubt. It kind of like, I think there were times I generally thought, hang on, are they actually going to change, possibly change the title here? Because I think in the preview video that we did, I think I did mention it's like if Io won, you could have this thing of Damage Control just turning on Io, also Bayley turning on Io.
A la Evolution and Randy Orton.
Yeah, pretty much. They could have a big championship celebration, Bayley's going, yeah, and then turns the thumbs right down. All that sort of stuff. And with Damage Control coming out and actually getting involved, you're kind of thinking, hang on a minute, this could actually happen. But the Bayley breakdown communication kind of helps a bit more of that story anyway. But no, really good match, really good showcase for Io as well. Considering all of them are going to SmackDown now, it's going to be quite interesting to see how that storyline develops, whether or not Io wants to try and get another title shot per se. We'll have to see. But no, for a match that I think a lot of people thought was pretty much a foregone conclusion, there were times it didn't really feel like it.
Completely agree. We then went backstage where Bad Bunny was in his dressing room and he was greeted by one Rey Mysterio. And then shortly after that, I got a blast from the past because I thought when this show started, man, it'd be cool if any of the Bariquas were here. I liked them back in 1997 and flippin' Savio Vega showed up. And then gave Bad Bunny a kendo stick with a Puerto Rican flag on it. Just a great touch. Also a fun note, the entire segment was in Spanish.
Yes, and that was okay. I kind of got the gist of what was going on. It's like, here you are, Bad Bunny, have a kendo stick. Go hit Damien Priest with it. Yes, I will. I'm going to sing a song as well. That's great, Bunny. Off you go.
This led to our second match of the evening, this being Omos against Seth Rollins. You could kind of imagine what the story of the match was. Omos is a big dude. Seth can't really do much on him, but was doing his damnedest to try and do anything. Ultimately, what this came down to was Seth able to sort of focus on the leg of Omos a little bit, leading to a point where MVP randomly decides to get on the apron. Kind of second match in a row this happens now, where he's sort of interfering, but not. And then this led to Seth Rollins hitting a curb stomp. Then he hit MVP, tried to get the pin, didn't get it. Then decided to go to the top rope and do, in essence, a top rope curb stomp, which, considering you've got a giant and you need to take him down, logical way of doing it. And that, I believe, if I remember correctly, is how he got the pinfall. But ultimately, he did get the win over Omos, much to the delight of the very vocal Puerto Rican crowd.
Yeah, this was a really good moment just before Omos kind of attacked Rollins to start the match, where basically all the music cuts out and basically you just hear the crowd doing the oh thing over for like a minute or so, and it's like, it's really cool. And again, it just shows how over that theme tune has really become. But no, considering the Omos matches, this is probably his best one, and it's mostly because Seth sold for him very well. It kind of played out again as we kind of talked to, basically Omos would be in control for a lot, and then there would be a sort of opening, and basically certain moves that Rollins would usually hit wouldn't necessarily be hit straight away or with ease, because like the first time he goes to the stomp, the neck is just too strong. It's like, nope, my neck's not going to go down to the ground. And then I think he does two stomps to get a near fall, and then it had to be the super stomp from like the second top rope to finish it off. And it didn't look really good from the initial camera, but when you see the replay side from the hard cam of it coming down and pushing almost his head down, it actually looks a lot better. But no, I think again another match with a very straightforward foregone conclusion, but again entertaining. Right person won. Things that we expected to happen happened, and yeah, I mean it was all right. It was fun. The crowd enjoyed themselves.
Next up, we had the triple threat match between Bobby Lashley and Bronson Reed challenging champion Austin Theory. how to start this match. Ian, remind me, you might know off the top of your head. Was it Survivor Series where we got a triple threat match that also involved Austin Theory and Bobby Lashley? Because I recall that being a thing, and I'm sure this was the exact same finish, just Bronson Reed being like the Photoshop equivalent of, right, take you out, put the other person back in, kind of thing. I swear this was an identical finish, because it came to basically Theory kind of just being out of the picture. Bobby Lashley had hit a move. Bronson Reed had a move hit on him by Lashley after Austin Theory got out the Hurt Lock. But then because Bronson Reed was down, Bobby Lashley was about to go for the pin. Austin Theory comes back in, throws him to the outside, and steals the pinfall. I swear we literally saw that finish a few months ago. I swear it.
I think we did, to be perfectly honest. I think we definitely did at a Survivor Series where, again, Austin Theory got the title that way. But no, I mean, this is. I think out of a lot of the matches on the card, this is probably not one of the most captivating contests. I mean, there was obviously heavy power moves. You saw Bronson Reed doing some big flying big man moves, which was great to see. But no, again, it's like we said on our previous show that Austin Theory would probably survive through the skin of his teeth and through pure dumb luck. And lo and behold, Bronson Reed gets a spear and Lashley gets removed from the ring so Austin can pin. And you had the cameras follow afterwards of Lashley just going, oh no, how can I let this happen? It's like, this exactly happened the last time you had a triple threat for this belt. So why are you surprised? You should have jumped up and just immediately speared Theory when he came back in.
I've just looked it up. So this kind of paints a picture of how both their careers have gone to this point. The triple threat match at Survivor Series involved Bobby Lashley and Austin Theory challenging Seth Rollins. So you can see where their careers have gone to this point. Quite a different direction. But either way, it was there, as it were. Yeah,
it was there. And basically, Bronson can now go back off to Raw and probably work in a program for something else. I think Lashley's probably going to be more positioned for someone for Roman down the line. And that just frees up Theory to take on someone from one of the new rivals on the brand. Maybe an LA Knight. Let's have an LA Knight.
It's funny you mention Bobby Lashley because it was mentioned on commentary. I think it may have been, it was either Cole or Corey Graves that said that they spoke to Bobby Lashley earlier in the day and what's their feelings now they're going to SmackDown. And according to the commentator, Bobby Lashley's response was 2 words: Roman Reigns. So they've kind of planted that seed that we're definitely going to get that matchup again coming soon. Well, whenever Roman's about.
Well, I think since Roman has the belt, I don't think him and Bobby have actually had a proper match. They had matches before Reigns became Universal Champion, but I think that was when Reigns was more of the heel and Reigns was more of the face and Bobby was more of the heel.
Didn't it happen at the Rumble before Reigns unified the belts?
No, that was Bobby versus Brock.
Oh, you're right.
Yes.
Good point.
Yes. Yes.
See,
and
if this conversation shows anything, things blend together.
Fair enough.
But sorry, continue.
But no, I mean, it's like, I think Reigns as he is now against Bobby, who's over with the crowd as a babyface. Again, I think you can have at least 1 or 2 really good title matches between them. And I think it'll be fun.
Next up, it was for the SmackDown Women's Championship. Rhea Ripley making her first title defense following winning the belt at WrestleMania against Zelina Vega. Now, a big element of this match was the fact that Zelina Vega's family, were from Puerto Rico. Some of their family were at ringside, including a mention that her stepbrother once wrestled Bruno Sammartino. So that was a fun little Easter egg tidbit. But the big thing about this was the ovation that Zelina was getting. She came out literally dressed in a Puerto Rican flag. Her ring gear was all themed around it. You could tell she was genuinely emotional about it. And it was wonderful to see. I love seeing moments of true emotion like that. And Rhea Ripley comes out and Zelina Vega is trying to do some bits and bobs. She gets a little bit of offense, but ultimately in a fairly quick match when all was said and done, despite getting a few moves here and there, Rhea Ripley did just overpower her, hit the riptide, and just pinned her, quite frankly. That's kind of all she wrote. But then afterwards, got a big show of appreciation from the audience for Vega's efforts. And it was fun while it lasted. Kind of like we said, we imagined that this would be the result and probably how the match would play out. But in the moment, it was genuinely something very special.
Yeah, it was nice to see the crowd really engage with the match, particularly with Vega as well. And yeah, a nice emotional moment to see. Sometimes you can really enjoy. It's nice to see those sort of moments play out on the big stage as well. The match was surprisingly shorter than I thought it was going to be. I thought out of the two women's matches, I thought this would probably be the longer one because Zelina was obviously the hometown hero per se, but clearly not. About 7-8 minutes, I think the match may have gone on for before Riptide was delivered. But no, again, it did what it needed to do. And I think it did the right things for Zelina. Even she looked good in defeat anyway. She managed to she did a great sort of, she's done it a couple of times now. The counter to the Riptide of basically her doing like a Hurricane Rana side of things. And then you see Rhea Ripley's reaction of just being thrown into this DDT and then just springing up and just looking completely shocked before collapsing in a heap, which is just amazing to see as well. A couple of nice Eddie Guerrero references as well. You had the little shimmy on the turnbuckle as well, and a 619 from Rey Mysterio as well. It was a nice. I think it was a nice. It's funny. This is like the double. This is the Judgment Day LWO double header. So we had this match, and then we moved into the complete anarchy that was the street fight, which I'll let you lead us on to.
Yeah, the next match was what was billed as part of the double main event of the show, the other match in the double main event being Cody and Brock, which we'll get to. It was Damien Priest versus Bad Bunny. As we talked about on the preview show, once we actually remembered what the heck happened, I couldn't remember. It was, of course, the former tag team partners from past WrestleMania, now locking horns, as it were, going one-on-one. Before the match, we got some footage from the press conference that happened the day before, which was really fun just to kind of set some additional context. Damien Priest came out and he was actually wearing part of the WrestleMania ring gear from when he tagged with Bad Bunny. It's a nice little Easter egg there that was mentioned on commentary. Then Bad Bunny's music hits. And it's one of his songs. And this is probably one of the best entrances you will see from a crowd participation point of view. Cody's always rivals it because it can't not. But literally, everyone in that building, in the audience, was basically just singing along to this. And it was so damn cool to see. I was going to say, and then he sort of came down to the ring, grabbed like a shopping trolley full of weapons and stuff, but really just took the moment in. And this was a proper moment, something genuinely special.
Yes. Also, I think we had a nice little drone shot as well. So basically the drone, I think, was in like the very back of the runway, or basically where the wrestlers are coming in. And basically, I think the drone sort of followed Bad Bunny out before flying up into the audience. So you saw like a little mini overhead of what was going on before it kind of went back to normal cameras. But no, obviously shows the connection between Bunny and the crowd. Obviously his hometown as well. Yeah, good entrance.
Now, the way this match began was Damien Priest kind of overpowering Bad Bunny to begin with. And it actually nearly got a very quick finish to it as well. But Damien Priest was the one that basically went, nah, I'm not done with him yet. That proved to be his undoing. Eventually, things kind of went to the outside a bit. There was a bit of brawling around the crowd and such. We went to a technical area where there were a bunch of flight cases. And after Bad Bunny earlier in the match had done basically like a Falcon Arrow, or actually no, it was a Michinoku Driver at that point on Damien Priest. Damien Priest returned the favor by hitting a freaking Falcon Arrow off of these flight cases into an abyss of stuff below, I'll call it. And that was like the big spectacle moment of the match when you were thinking, oh no, this is done. When Adam Pearce comes out to go, oh no, Mr. Bunny, are you all right? Then you know there's a problem. So they end up getting back in the ring. Bunny's still trying to fight back. I think at this point he had started to work on Damien Priest's knee a little bit, which was a big story that would play into later in the match. But then we get to a point where Bunny, what's the way to phrase this? Bunny has got a chair and he's looking to kind of deliver a final blow on Damien Priest. And he's sort of now at this point going, no, Mr. Bunny. Well, he didn't call him Mr. Bunny. That was Pierce. But no, Bunny. No, please. I'm sorry. And then he just basically just low blows him. I think it was. He mule kicked him, and then Bad Bunny retaliated with a low blow, which I thought was a great little touch. Then Dominic Mysterio, the heel magnet that he is, and Finn Balor ran out to ambush Bad Bunny.
Mm.
Then Rey Mysterio came out wearing a pretty cool looking kind of Puerto Rican themed flag mask of his with like LWO logos and stuff on it.
Mm.
And then suddenly, Mysterio was getting a little bit beaten down. Then some music hits. And it's some music I've not heard in a very long time. It was the music of Carlito Caribbean Cool. And holy shit, did this crowd go utterly bonkers for Carlito's music. It's the most chilled vibed music you've ever heard, with people utterly losing their shit. It's almost like you're watching like a I don't know, a Marvel film where they have like the really cheesy music while there's a really climactic battle going on. It was just such like a juxtaposition or a dichotomy. It was so funny to see.
Oh,
Go on.
Yeah, because it's just the moment you spit in the face of people who aren't really cool. You just go, he's got an apple. He's gonna spit at someone who's not cool. And he also, considering his age, he looks great.
He's
insane.
He looks like a tank. And man, he made sure to make up for lost time because he took a giant chunk out of that apple.
Mm.
It was massive. I think even he had been surprised by how much of a chunk he took out. So we then get to a point where Dom and Balor are just going, you know what? No, had enough now. Done, gonna go. And this prompts another person, or another person's music rather, to start coming over the big PA. It's flipping Savio Vega of the Bariquas, and I'm just thinking, yes, Bariquas action, bring them all out. They didn't ultimately, but it was still really cool what happened. Because Savio ended up attacking both Dom and it was just Dom, actually, I think it was. He did like his trademark sort of back roundhouse kick thing. I was a kid at Christmas. This was great. And then he motioned for the rest of the LWO to come out and then start attacking Finn Balor as well. And ultimately, they all end up going to the back. We're left in the ring with Bad Bunny and Damien Priest. And then Bad Bunny puts on a figure 4 leg lock, which obviously, from a viewer like our point of view, you'd think immediately Ric Flair. And I think they even tried to mention that on commentary. But upon further research, there's actually a bit of a deeper meaning to that, because there is a very famous promoter wrestler in Puerto Rico by the name of Carlos Colon, Carlito's father, for point of reference, whose finishing hold, and who's also massively popular in Puerto Rico and historical, whose finishing maneuver was a figure 4 leg lock. So partly the reason why the Puerto Rican crowd went utterly mental was because they were seeing that finisher, i.e. Carlos Colon's finisher, from many of their own fans' point of view. So that was getting locked in. Damien Priest's knee is a mess. The selling by Damien Priest, chef's kiss performance. It was so good. But ultimately, I think he was able to get out of it, if memory serves. Bad Bunny beat the crap out of him with a steel chair, and ultimately, of course, hit the, I guess now, Puerto Rican destroyer rather than a Canadian destroyer to get the pinfall. That was also after Bad Bunny did a sliced bread number 2 and nearly decapitated himself with it, doing it somehow, but we'll leave that aside. But This match, as a spectacle, just in general, a complete spectacle, this was fantastic.
It really was just one of those matches where, obviously, if you're looking for like pure traditionalist wrestling, you're not going to get it. But I think the way it's all structured and the fact that Bunny absolutely adores wrestling, he adores the WWE, and the fact that he is willing to put himself through that match and also learn to take the moves properly, how to really just, he approached it with a real sort of, even when he did it at WrestleMania those years ago, he approaches it with a very serious, that I'm serious about this, I want to be respectful to you guys and that stuff. And you see it here in the ring. And it's like, if there's a celebrity wrestler that it's the same thing I kind of guess of Logan Paul in a way, is basically the celebrity wrestlers who come in and actually treat it properly and actually look to kind of learn and kind of actually do a match rather than just turn up and just kind of go, oh, I'll just do one thing and I'll just pin the person. I mean, even Stephen Amell's kind of improved on that, because obviously he did SummerSlam many, many years ago with Neville before he became Pac, and with Cody as well, and Wade Barrett. And then at the very first All In, I believe, Amell has a match with Christopher Daniels as well. But yeah, the point is, I think Bunny put in a really good performance, and yeah, I mean, pairing him up with Priest, they know each other very well. Priest is going to make sure he looks like $1 million as well. It was good fun, and the crowd loved it. And it's like, yeah, I even popped a little bit for the Carlito appearance. It was quite fun. But yeah, really, really good match. I think if you watch any match from Backlash, go out your way to watch this one for the most sports entertaining spectacle that you can see right now.
Agreed completely. And I'm hoping, given how great this was, that Damien Priest, for want of a better phrase, gets a reward for that, maybe like a big push or something, because this isn't underplaying what Damien Priest has done, because he's a really great wrestler in general, and we've seen him gradually grow and whatnot, but this was genuinely, this meant something extra special. It was even it was even referenced on commentary how much of a global entertainment spectacle this match was. And I know I've used that word spectacle quite a few times, but eyeballs were on this from a global media perspective, let alone wrestling. So hopefully Damien Priest does get something out of that, but full props to Bad Bunny. And I bet he hurt like hell this morning when he woke up. This then led, after a nice LWO-based celebration as well inside the ring, this led to a 6-man tag match, which was the Usos and Solo Sikoa against Matt Riddle and Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, the tag team champions. Now, this match, this will probably come across harsh how I say this. If I had to pick a weakest match on the show, it was this. But that's because it had to follow the match that it followed. Mainly because the crowd clearly had used up so much energy and whatnot in the match that you could tell they were like, right, we need to just kind of give people like about 10 minutes or so to actually recover from this. Because they were into everyone in the match and into what was going on. But in terms of a reaction, you could tell this was a thing where maybe the pacing had to be altered. It was an all right match. I don't think, honestly, crowd reaction aside, it was the best match in the world. But the big storyline moments, if you will, from the match were there was a bit of miscommunication between the Usos. I think it may have been Jay hit Jimmy with a super kick. And there was a clear moment where it looked like Solo was going to hit the Samoan spike on Jay after the two of them were going back and forth about trying to attack Sammy and who was going to do it, with some like really stiff tags to each other, if you will. So that kind of brewed a little bit. And even after they had actually won the match, which it was Matt Riddle that took the pinfall for a point of reference, even after the match was over, there was clearly still a lot of tension between Jay and Solo, whereas Jimmy's in between them going, hey, we won! Awesome! Let's celebrate!
Solo so badly just wanted to stick the spike in someone at that point. You just see him just going, my thumb, it craves blood. All right, we're fine. We're friends, I guess. No, I'm of the same mindset of you. It's like, this was a match. It was fine. I mean, following the street fight kind of brings the energy level down a little bit. And to be better, it's like, I think we've kind of seen a lot of these matches now between Kevin, Sammy, and the Usos and Solo now. So it's like, I think it's interesting. I think it's nice to see that we're starting to go in the potential dissension between the Usos and Solo and Roman. That's a good thing. But the whole tag team side of things, I think they need to stop this now. I think I think we've reached a point now where I would like to see Kevin and Sammy take on different people other than the Usos. And I think maybe this is just like, draw the line, move on, and we go forward from there. The thing is, though, and they mentioned on commentary, because they're undisputed tag team champions, they can move between brand. They can defend them on either brands, which is a bit annoying, to be perfectly honest. I kind of do wish they just stop with the dual champions thing. I mean, obviously Roman's been cemented as SmackDown now, so that makes sense. But it's just like the tag teams and then the NXT tag team, no, not the NXT tag, the women's tag. It's just, and even the women's championships as well. It's just like, can we take names that don't involve the show out of the belts, please? And
we need some form of consistency to clean up. I do agree. That said, I've got no issue with Kevin and Sammy traveling between the two shows as champions, because there are lots of other teams, especially after the draft now. There are definitely other combinations of people, but yeah, I agree with you. And it was even mentioned on commentary specifically that apparently Kevin Owens had said in storyline, I'm sick and tired of like this Usos thing. Can we just be done with this? Like, I've done this for so long. Come on.
Yeah.
But yeah, so hopefully there'll be a bit of a cleanup on that. And on that note, actually, you just mentioned the title, because I think it was in here where it was referenced directly that the tournament that's going to take place for the World Heavyweight Championship, this new belt for Raw, it's going to feature both Raw and SmackDown wrestlers, because we're getting 2 triple threat matches on Raw and 2 triple threat matches on SmackDown. The winners of each of those matches will face each other on their respective brand show. And then the winners of those will go to the final at the Night of Champions show. And then whoever is the winner of that will be champion. So my first thought is, so a SmackDown wrestler can win this newly created Raw championship.
Pretty much, but I think what they've clearly not decided to add, and I think if you go by the logic of what they said of Roman Reigns is the champion for SmackDown now, he is going to be SmackDown exclusive. He is not going to go to Raw and challenge for this belt. My understanding of that will be if someone from SmackDown wins that belt, they're going to Raw. And that's that. They can't just travel between 2 brands as well, because again, that defeats the whole bloody point of what the belt was made for in the first place. So yeah, I think my understanding is, if say a SmackDown superstar was to win, they go to the red brand.
They basically get an automatic draft.
Yeah, and basically,
and
then
they are automatically transferred, as it were.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's not as complicated in 2K23, I'll tell you that much.
No, it's just, here, do you want a belt? Yes, here you go, fight for it.
This led on to the main event, which was Cody Rhodes against Brock Lesnar. Kind of what you expect it to be, basically. Cody gets a little bit of offense, as it were. Well, in fact, he actually attacked Brock before the bell as he was walking around the ring. He sort of dove out to the outside and then knocked him a couple of times with steel steps and stuff. But then Brock gets his one attack, and then he just starts throwing Cody like he's a big tree log, and just starts throwing him all around the ring. It kind of continues like that for a while, and you have the thoughts, good sir?
There was a good moment where Cody's going for like the detonator kick or the Cody kick, whatever he does for. He's like
disaster kick, yeah,
disaster kick. He runs to debate that, and then you can signpost it as like, yeah, Brock's going to suplex him off this. It's kind of like yes, it's very satisfying when you just think, oh yeah, that's how Brock's going to get you into a suplex. He's just going to grab you midair and just do it. And it's like, yes, that's exactly what I wanted. But no, that was a nice little touch. But yeah, it kind of did play out as the Suplex City show, as we come to grow in love with Brock Lesnar, to be perfectly honest. But yeah, so it wasn't just German suplex; it was like overhead suplexes, fall away slams, and stuff like that.
Just a simple throw.
Yeah, just a simple throw. And it all carries on until Brock Lesnar absolutely cuts himself wide open with an exposed turnbuckle. And John Moxley would be proud.
Correct. Yeah. So what happened that led to this was Brock was going to go for another German suplex, and Cody grabbed the turnbuckle, which was supremely loose. This turnbuckle cover. I'm not going to question it. It was. And then he gets suplexed and it kind of goes flying into the crowd, which, based on the crowd reaction, I assume the turnbuckle pad was taken off the fan that got it, because there was a notable reaction in that crowd. And then Brock then realizes, that buckle was exposed. So Cody ends up back in that corner. Brock charges towards him and just goes clunk into this exposed buckle. And there was a part of me that thought, oh, that looked bad. And there's like an initial thought of, okay, good, he seems okay. And he puts his hand up to his face, takes it away, and you just suddenly see blood. And I'm thinking, is that the hard way cut? And then he turns to another camera angle, and suddenly half his face is covered in blood. And you're like, oh no. And you can tell as well, there was a moment where the referee clearly thought, I need to put on my gloves and ask him if he's okay. But I don't want to. I really don't. You can see it in his face.
He's going to yell at me. He's going to shout. He's going to do all cowboy stuff and shout at me. I don't like it. I'm scared.
And of course, the other element to this, which makes that a bit of a muddier subject, is look at what happened in the Hell in a Cell match at WrestleMania with Finn.
Yes.
And how it got stopped for ages because of that cut. But I think the referee was very right to basically go, no, for my own safety, I'm not flipping telling him to stop. Let's get your cut cleaned up. Are you kidding me? I'll take a fine. I don't care.
Because I think the other thing is, as the match went on, it's like the cameras are progressively trying not to cut to Brock's face.
So obvious, isn't it?
And it's kind of like we know he's cut open, we know he's really busted open. It's like either cut to it or don't. It's either cut to it or deal with it. It's like it was a bit odd, but I can understand why from technically a PG marketed material product. You can understand why WWE are not trying to actually focus on the blood, because I don't think it was really supposed to be part of the thing. Maybe a little bit of blood. All right, fair enough. The fact that Brock was literally covered in blood within 1 minute was kind of like,
it was pretty damn quick.
It's like, oh, this isn't supposed to happen. Oh shit.
But Cody embraced this because he then tried to hit a crossroads on Lesnar. I think he got a couple and went for another. Yeah. Then Lesnar countered it into an F5 for a near fall. At this point, I think the ref had like a couple of towels, which you kind of saw him holding, and he just dropped one on the edge of the ring and went, I'm not giving that to Brock. He'll just kill me. And he had to like kick it off the apron and stuff. This then led to Cody going for, I believe, another crossroads, but Brock actually countered that into a Kimura hold. That submission we've seen him use many times. Cody's arm somehow did not break like a twig. He managed to kind of reverse the angle of it and make it into a sort of pinfall thing and got the 3 out of nowhere.
And Cody hightailed it right out of the building, pretty much as the entrance.
Cody basically went, Brock Lesnar's bleeding and he's lost. I'm out of here. Thanks, Puerto Rico. How you doing?
Everyone, don't forget that. Whoa, that's fine. Bye. Whoa.
It's like, buy my merch.
Bye, everyone. What do you want to talk about?
And the show went off the air with some kind of awkward dead air, which made me think, what went AWOL here? And then Brock Lesnar was just thrown a towel. And you could tell he was told, wipe your damn face off of blood. And he did. And then the show just went off the air looking at Brock Lesnar's face, still with a few bits of blood on it, and it just went off the air into like a highlight video package. I just thought, that was a weird ending. But there you go. So, yeah, that was the match. It was fine. I thought the ending was actually a bit of a damp squib, quite frankly. It just was very anticlimactic.
Yeah, I think we both talked about, well, I think in my prediction kind of said I probably in my way of booking, I probably would like to see Cody win to actually start rebuilding some momentum and stuff like that. And the fact is, it does come after the fact that Lesnar puts him through the ringer. But yeah, it's just like, it is quite a sudden, he's pinned. Because I thought generally it would be he'll roll up Brock, get a near fall, and then whatever finish, whether it be crossroads or something like that. Again, I feel like Cody probably would have won through just like an Austin Theory, just surviving just barely in that sort of way. But yeah, it was just kind of like this has happened. Fair enough.
Yeah. Which I guess then brings on the question, should that have been the main event? Because quite frankly, I think the Bad Bunny match should have gone on last based on how it went. Because going off the air with that celebration and that crowd going mental like it was, I think that could have been one of the greatest endings to a WWE event in general.
I think there's a very strong case for that match to actually be the main event. But I think I can see why they went with Cody and Brock, because obviously Cody's big baby face, the big baby face of the company. Brock is obviously big special attraction, and usually Brock is either first or last. He's not really anywhere in between, to be perfectly honest. So it's where I think, in hindsight, I think Street Fight really should have main evented, and this maybe like a middle of the road, or maybe just opened, or maybe opened the contest, or maybe opened the pay-per-view or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, generally, it was still an all right match. It was still fine. I mean, it's like, I think with some of the most recent Brock Lesnar matches that they've had like really downer moments. It's like the whole the disqualification against Bobby Lashley Elimination Chamber. You've had the I'm trying to remember other Brock Lesnar matches. Obviously, Omos was a fine match. It was a decent match, but obviously it was only a special attraction match, which went for about 5 or so minutes. I think this was about 10 minutes. 10, 12
let me double check the time. I think it was roughly, yeah.
This
was just shy of 10 minutes, yeah. Just shy.
Yeah, so it's longer than the normal Brock Lesnar match.
He's on double time tonight.
Yes. Absolutely.
As it were.
But yeah, I think it was a decent match. Results fine. Probably could have done it better. But I think basically this is the year-long story of Cody just kind of getting himself getting himself notable wins over certain people to kind of go, right, now I feel like I can challenge. I've been through adversity. I've battled. It's like, I think, but on the other side, you could probably argue there might be another match with Lesnar down the line, to be honest, based on how that finished. Because it's like, you can see Cody possibly entering the World Heavyweight Championship tournament, and then Lesnar turns up maybe when he's about to qualify for the final and just gets decimated again. And we use that to go into money in the bank or something like that.
100% agree. And with that being said, everybody, that wraps up our review of WWE Backlash. Thank you very much for watching. We hope you enjoyed it. If you did, why not leave a comment below and tell us what you thought of the show or what your favorite match was. And if you feel so inclined, make sure you hit that subscribe button too, so you can be kept up to date with future videos from us. And make sure on that notification bell section, you hit that all button so that you get notified for all videos that we have coming up. Good sir, if people want to drop us an email to send their thoughts in, what's the best way to do that?
Well, they can super kick an email all the way over to contact@BunkaMania.com. It would be great to hear your thoughts on Backlash, upcoming events with WWE, including Night of Champions and the World Heavyweight Championship Tournament. It would be great to hear your thoughts and talk about them on a future episode.
With that being said, from myself, the giraffe me, Jeremy Graves, from him, the Dekker Dane, Mr. Ian Bolton, we've been BunkaMania Wrestling. Until next time, signing out and speak to you soon.